Professor Andrew Spencer, welcome to Profile.
Thank you for having me.
So, when you say Professor Andrew Spencer, it's Professor Andrew Spencer, who is University President at the Caribbean Maritime University. And for context for our viewers, I want them to know that you and I work together at the Caribbean Maritime University as well. And when we usually say University President, someone your age is not usually what people are expecting to see. Do you get that kind of reaction?
I get it a lot. I get it as president, but I got it before too, with the professorial title, which is typically expected to be a guy with a long beard and usually a white beard, yes.
A lot of gray hair.
And sandals. And I did get it even before when I got the PhD. People tend to think, and then when I'm not in my suits, and I'm in slim jeans, that's a whole other story. I look like a little boy, but I get accustomed to it.
You have no reaction to it?
Not really. In fact, it used to please me a lot before, because I'd walk into a room. Yes, when I was CEO of TPD, it happened all the time. I'd walk into a room, and people would say, we're waiting on, the ED of TPD, and I'd be there going, I'm here. This is not what we expected. This is not what we heard on the phone, because I have a voice that doesn't sound like my age or size. So, yeah, happens all the time.
All right, and when you say TPD, there you're referencing one of the organizations for which you worked. And, the reason perhaps it's not surprising to people who eventually find out a little bit is because your career has been sort of on quite a trajectory over the last 10 years. So we're talking about the head of the Tourism Product and Development Company, which is the largest agency of the Ministry of Tourism, or major foreign exchange earner.
Absolutely.
Subsequent to that, as Deputy Executive Director of the Mona School of Business, and also at the University of the West Indies, working in the area of tourism as the head of an institute, then in the Bahamas, that deals with tourism. So, what's pushing all of this? It feels like a lot is happening in a short space of time.
I've had a good run. I don't know if I am in a rush. I've always, though, been time-bound and time-driven. So, as far back as you could imagine, even before I was focused, I used to write things on a sheet of paper. Mm-hmm. So there was this blue strip of paper on which I wrote everything. And I'd say, at X age, I should have this master's degree, this thing, that thing, PhD at... And it's interesting, even though I lost my way, which we're not talking about right now, that piece of paper was always there as a guide. And somehow we got back on track. But the last 10 years have been stratospheric. I think a lot of it has to do with my dogged determination. Also has to do with a little bit of opportunity, right time, right place. But I'm a firm believer in God too, and I think a lot of what has happened to me, probably about 70% of it, has just been His divine will for my life.
And we're going to talk a little bit about religion later on, but I want to stick to the career for a moment to talk a little bit about, that trajectory. And the fact that it's now landed you at the Caribbean Maritime University, famous for all sorts of different reasons, including bad ones, because in the last couple of years, the CMU has faced a very, very public scandal. So you're on this trajectory. Why the CMU?
Let me tell you why the CMU. Well, first of all, let me talk about the value and the power of the CMU, right? So I must say that at the point where I accepted the job to come to the CMU, there were other jobs on the table. And prayed about it, thought about it. This was the option that gave me the greatest peace. I just felt settled. When I decided to do this, people asked me if I was excited. No, I'm not excited. Are you fearful? Not fearful. I just feel settled. And that was the answer.
Not fearful, though.
Not fearful at all.
This is a big challenge.
Yeah, but put it this way. When I was going to the TPD, let me just tell you, almost every job I've taken, I've been told I'm crazy for taking it at the point that I've taken it. Mm-hmm. You spoke about the Bahamas. When I was going to the Bahamas, it was a school that was on the decline. We went there and we revived it. When I was going to TPD, I was told it was a hotly political place. Do you want to be? We went there and we did some good work. So I'm driven by challenges. I think challenges excite me. And the Caribbean Maritime University is, I think, a very good challenge. I think it is poised for greatness like we've never seen before. The CMU is in control of the human capital development for our ports, for the movement of goods on the seas, for the movement of people on the seas, for the airports, for the seaports, for end-to-end logistics, for cybersecurity, for engineering like we've never seen it before. We have the best technology there is. So to my mind, even before knowing all of this, I knew there was value and quality. But having come there, I now know I've made the right decision. this is a university that's going to be at the forefront of everybody's thoughts in the Caribbean for all the good reasons.
One of the challenges that you speak of, though, and one that you're certainly going to be facing, is that while you understand this, and I work at the CMU too for disclosure, other people don't necessarily know this. They do not understand how much money the sector makes and the sort of global impact that it can have. How do you overcome that kind of challenge?
Well, first we have to ensure that the people inside of CMU know this, right? So one of the things I've been doing in the last 9 weeks or so is to engage individuals and make them understand the power of where they are. This is not just a job. You don't just show up to get a paycheck. You are here because this is a university that's going to transform our country. It's going to transform the Caribbean. It's going to have a global reach. It's going to be top 10 maritime. The only way we do that is if everybody buys into the fact that there's already value. Now, can we create more value? Absolutely. But there's a lot of value already existing in the people. That's an important resource for us. In the technology we have available to us, a lot of it, the only available in the Caribbean, and in some cases Latin America and the Caribbean. So we have to build that narrative internally. And then we have to create ambassadors from our people. They're going to be the ones to tell the story, not just in words, but in how they carry themselves on the streets. Mm-hmm. That has to come out in our students. I'm very proud of the discipline of the students, and I think the sort of paramilitary side of what we do, you're seeing a little bit of that filtering from our cadets to the broader student population, and I'd like to get more of that to happen, because that's what I'm hearing about our graduates, that the discipline, the dedication, the fact that they're able to execute on almost any task when being assigned is powerful stuff. So that's how we have to sell that story internally, and I assure you that nationally, regionally, internationally, that story will be loud. So I'm just telling everybody, brace for it. You're going to hear about all the good things happening at the CMU.
How different is this job than the one you held before as Deputy Executive Director of the Bona School of Business? University of the West Indies are more established in terms of age, a longer history in terms of particular kinds of systems.
Right. This
is certainly a bigger challenge. How much different was that job than this?
All right, so the Mona School of Business and Management is quite big, a large school in the UWI. Management education, a more liberal arts approach to education. We are specialists. We own our lane. We're expanding that lane, and we're going to do great things in that lane. But what's fundamentally different is, while I was part of the leadership team of the Mona School of Business and Management, which then reported to a board on one side and then reported into a principal on the other side, I'm the ultimate decision maker where I am now. And what that means is a greater need for acuity, a greater need for an understanding of all the moving parts, because I am seeing the entire field. I'm seeing the entire lay of the land. When individuals may be seeing only a part of that picture, you have to get them to understand that there is another part that needs more attention at this point. So I think what is good about it is that I've always been decisive. So in every place where I've held a number one position, I've said, look, I'm going to be decisive if nothing else. I'm very thoughtful, but I'm also decisive. And I'm going to get about 3% of my decisions wrong, and I'm willing to live with them and take the licks.
You're fine with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Because that 97% that we get correct is going to transform not just the organization, but all the stakeholders externally. And so I feel very, very positive about that. Now, I've said to my team, if you see me pull back on a particular path and decision, then you know there's something going on in my mind, because typically I'm efficient in that way.
All right, I want to talk a little bit about the roots of this kind of efficiency. But before we get to that, we have to take a break. And there's also the issue of the sort of academic road to talk about, because as you've been doing all of this, working as a management professional, working in at the University of the West Indies in different kinds of capacities, you've also been an academic at the same time, which means that you've been really, really busy. So we're going to be talking about how he manages all of this and what keeps him focused in spite of the different kinds of challenges that come up. We're taking a break now on Profile. My guest is a very accomplished university president at the Caribbean Maritime University, Professor Andrew Spencer. Back with you after these messages.